Welcome to The Power and the Pain, where your past isn't your prison.
It's the fuel for your purpose.
I'm Greg Pease, combat veteran, NLP trainer, and your guide to turn trauma into triumph. This is The Power and the Pain. Let's go. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Power and the Pain. And today I'm going to be talking about the power of choice in our thoughts. I got to thinking about this when I was watching with my son. I don't watch too much TV. My son, he's 10 years old, Xander. He loves watching Mr. Beast. Now, most of us have probably heard this name. I think he's the biggest YouTuber, I think. And I like the guy, and he seems pretty philanthropical. Yeah. So, but for those of you that have watched him, like, this guy does all kinds of crazy videos and things. But one of the bigger things he's kind of known for is these challenges that he offers to people, where they have to do things that would be uncomfortable, out of the ordinary, for extended periods of time, and then they're offered certain types of prizes and things for going through with this. And so I was watching one of these with my son the other day, and it really caught my attention, so much so that I ended up watching like 2 or 3 of these challenges back to back in a row. There was a challenge where a gentleman was in a small area out in a field, and he had like this kind of a bit of a raggedy house. It was a bit raggedy, and he had to survive in there for 100 days, and he only had so many rations and things of that nature. And there's another one where a gentleman is on a private jet for 100 days, and another one, there's a group of men and women that are surviving out in the wilderness. And they have in this one, they have a team of 5 each, and again, only so many rations, and they're allowed to send anyone home on the 5, but neither side knows how many has went home, and whoever's last man standing, whatever side is the winning team. So as I look at these challenges, what caught my attention most was every time when you look at the people that succeeded or the people that did not succeed in these challenges. Now, all these challenges are hard, being away from their family, controlling their mind, rationing, resources, things of that nature. And when I look at the people that did not succeed in the challenge, every time I see people that began to speak negative about their situation. They began to, which if they were speaking negative, they were thinking negative about their situation. But when I look at the people that were winning, they were absolutely to the point of borderline delusional. They were happy, satisfied, and had gratitude every step of the way through their journey, the people that succeeded. If they only had whatever they had, whatever their little bits were, they had gratitude for the things that they were able to do, the ability to lay down and to be able to sleep in this one area, or the gentleman that was in the private jet, this gentleman would just walk laps back and forth in his private jet each day as part of his routine for his physical health. And he made it through the 100 days on a private jet. That'd be pretty intense. So when we look at this, I started thinking about sharing today with you the power of choice in our thoughts, because Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And when we look at how we think about the situation, I'm using Mr. Beast as an example, and there's plenty of opportunities for you to go on YouTube and look at these challenges. But look all through your life. People that have succeeded through challenging situations chose to think about it differently. Now, I didn't say, and we all know, that just because we think it's going to work and we think positively and we go with gratitude, that there's not a guarantee that it will work. Just that the odds are exceptionally more favorable for it to be able to work. Every time I see someone go to this dark place in their thoughts, I then see them end up at temporary defeat. So while I may not be completely and totally guaranteed of attainment when I choose, I said choose, all of these people and all of these challenges were in uncomfortable situations. The ones that succeeded chose how they wanted to think about the situation. They didn't have it any easier than the people that didn't make it through the situations. But we could see on camera a decent amount of their candid thoughts, because on these Mr. Beast videos, they have their own little personal cameras and little GoPros all over the place. So they're watching all of the intimate interactions as these people are going through these challenges. And we're getting to hear a decent amount of their candid thoughts. All the situations were uncomfortable. The people that went through uncomfortable situations with gratitude made a choice. Now, when you make this choice and go through a situation and it comes out favorable, now you have the ability to believe that it works. If you're not even sure if it works, go about it as an experiment. I've said this many times before on private episodes. On prior episodes, you guys got to pay for the private episodes. On prior episodes, I've said many times before in this same concept. We have a choice in how we think, and it's kind of like firewalking. I host an event, the Step Into Your Power event, every other month in Chapel Hill, and when I guide people across these 1,200 degree coals, there's 3 things that I share with them on how to get across the coals. And the same 3 things that are utilized to get across these coals are the same 3 things that can be utilized to get through anything in life. When you walk up to these coals, if it's your first time firewalking, and realistically, I don't care if it's your 10th or if you're someone like me, and there's people that have done much more, but I've firewalked over 300 and probably under 500 times so far. And every time you walk up to those coals, especially your first, your neurology says, hey, we cannot do that. Those things are glowing red hot. I can feel that heat up here. Everything in my body says, self-preservation. There's an opportunity to face something really uncomfortable. Something that is scary. I'm able to face fear in this moment. And those that choose to conquer this and step into their power are able to face fear in this moment. And just as I share with them, the 3 things that gets them across the coals. The first one is controlling the controllables. Now, the same thing you get to control when you cross these coals is the same thing you get control of in every single situation of your life. That's your thoughts and your actions. So as you stand in front of the coals, those that are choosing, you have to take 100% responsibility and control for your controllables. What are you thinking? I don't care what you should be thinking, what you could be thinking, what you might be thinking. What are you thinking? Ask yourself so that you have the opportunity to become conscious of your thoughts. What am I thinking? When we have that conversation with ourselves, that's our conscious, unconscious, who's talking to who in there. Have that conversation with self. Consciously realize, what are the thoughts I'm thinking right now? What are they? I need to know right now. Whatever they are, let's suppose someone's thinking, oh my gosh, that looks really hot. I don't know how I'm going to do that. What are my thoughts right now? My thoughts are, that looks really hot and I don't know how I'm going to do that. Okay. They're truths. They're options for thoughts. Just as they are, I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to know and feel my power consciously. I'm going to walk across this safely. I know other people have, and I will as well. Are these not options? Control your thoughts. First, we have to become aware. What am I thinking? We need consciousness of thought. What am I thinking? Once I have consciousness, oh, these are the thoughts going through my head. I didn't say they were wrong. I didn't say you should or shouldn't think them. I said control. Be conscious. Make a choice. So if your choice is to think this is really scary and that looks really hot, you can. You're going to affect your result either way. Which way would you like to affect your result? The other thing you have control of is your actions. At any moment in time, you have control of how you choose to act and react to absolutely anything. It's your choice. Listen, these people that put the first step on these 1200 degree coals, mind you, aluminum melts at 1100 degrees. First step. They had a choice in how they acted in this moment. In no way are they coerced, convinced that they should firewalk. They have a choice to not take that step. It's your choice. And what I share with the firewalkers is you have control of your actions, how you walk across these coals, how quickly, how you place your feet, how methodical, where your eyes are looking, where your head is, where your shoulders are, where your hands, where your arms. Become conscious of your body and decide, how am I going to act? What does my action look like when I cross this coals? For me, I see myself standing tall with a smile and feeling proud and excited and honored and powerful. And I see myself with my chin up, smile on my face, eyes wide open, looking at the target, looking at the prize on the other side. I see myself calmly walking across this coals. Notice what I felt. Empowered, honored, excited. Now, once we have controlled the controllables, the next thing that we have to do is submit to the outcome. Do I have to? Listen, yes, as in, if you're not submitting to the outcome, if you're like, well, I shouldn't have to do that, back up a step, control your actions, and don't do it. You decided to do this thing. If you're in control and you're doing all this like I'm saying, you put yourself here. You chose this. You wanted this. You decided this. If not, decide again. Choice, the power in choice. So then we're going to choose to submit to the outcome because we do not get to control the outcome. We greatly get to influence it, where most of us are taking our energy and trying to, something we're never going to achieve, control the outcome. We're trying to control the outcome, yet we are not controlling our influence. We're having an influence. We're just not controlling our influence. We're allowing it to unconsciously play out. We get complete and total control of the influence that we are creating. We do not get to completely and totally control the outcome. Once you've done your best, 4 agreements, once you've done your best, submit to the rest with gratitude. Everything is exactly as it's supposed to be in that moment. I share with my firewalkers, when you walk across this fire, it is your choice to, I remind them this all the way up to the last moment. There's no awards for firewalking. It is your choice to do this physical and outward representation for your internal commitment. Now, because those that choose to You have to submit to the outcome. You do not get to control what the coals feel like on your feet. How could you? You haven't touched the coals until your feet touches them. You don't get to control the temperature of the coals, how smooth or how rough or how rigid the coals feel. You have no control over these things. You get to control how quickly you walk, where you place your feet, how you place your feet, what you're thinking, where you're looking. But you have no control over these coals. So based on your decision and choice, make this choice to take this action, knowing that you are taking this action, knowing you do not have control of these coals. You must submit to these coals in this decision and choice, and consciously know that you are submitting to these coals in this decision or choice, or autonomy, consciously make a new choice or new decision. I share with the firewalkers as you walk across the coals. If you get a hot spot on your feet, you can look up Chinese reflexology. Every part of your foot is connected to a part of your body. How is it that X amount of people walk and they have no hot spot? And if you were to receive a hot spot, how did you receive it? On the same cold bed that everyone else went on. And why did you receive it right there to that, on that part of your foot that was connected to a specific part in your body? Now, whatever you choose to think and believe about that is your choice. What I encourage is you submit to the outcome and receive everything that happens. Receive everything that happens. You are growing and learning from this experience, or you fight with this experience in your thoughts through choice, and you become stagnant in that area of life while the clock continues ticking. You don't realize a day, week, month, and year has went by. You're still fighting that old problem that nobody cares about. They've moved on. They're on chapter 16. It's your choice in your thoughts to fight this thing that you can just let go and submit to. Now, when you open yourself up to the idea of submitting to the outcome and receiving no matter what, it becomes really easy to walk through life with gratitude. Everything that happens is happening for you to grow, and you're constantly growing. Life is getting better every experience you have. Mine is. You have the choice in that. So as long as you learn through the experience, you have more wisdom, discernment, knowledge, intellect, power for the very next decision. Why not? You have a choice in how you think about that. The third thing that I share with the firewalkers on getting across the fire. First, we have to control the controllables, our thoughts and our actions. Every time, all the time, we always have control of those. There may be other things we get control of, maybe not, but our thoughts and our actions, we always get control over those. So what am I thinking? Well, how am I going to act? Conscious decision, make a choice. Not, oh, I have to because, no, bull, stop, knock it off. Love you, mean it. You don't have to do anything. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in just a minute. Consciously choose, what do you think? What do you do? Make an internal decision to submit to the outcome, or don't be in this experience. Get out of this experience. You have the power of autonomy. Make a decision. Trust yourself. And the last thing that needs to happen, must imperatively, in order for anyone to get across the coals, must imperatively needs to happen for anyone to get across the coals. The third thing is you must just keep taking the next step. I mean, absolutely, without that, no one's crossing the coals, right? By the way, without that, no one's getting anything done in life. Once I've controlled my thoughts, once I've decided, chose my thoughts, decided and chose my actions, decided and chose to submit to the outcome, the only thing that's left and furthermore required, a necessity in order to get to the other side of absolutely anything, is just keep taking the next step. It's easy for us to get excited, a little drunk on adrenaline and dopamine, and we're like, yeah, we're doing it. We're going to take on the world. And we take that first or second step, and we're like, oh, these are really hot coals. Okay, control the thoughts, control the actions. I'm submitting, keep taking the next step. I got to keep going right now. I got to keep going. We ain't got time to stop and think about this one. And by the time you have time to stop and think about it, holy shit, you did it. You're on the other side. And just as I said earlier, once you do this is why I created Step in Your Power. You have an experience like this. It is a symbolic experience. It is symbolic healing, because symbolically, I've had people tell me, I mean, many a times, many of examples, a lady comes to mind and she said, she contacted me after a Step in Your Power, and she said, you know, the other day I was going to go out in the morning and get my run in that I do every day. And she said, it was really cold. And when I went outside, she said, I did not want to go for that run. And I was like trying to think of any excuse and reason why I shouldn't actually run today. And she said the thought like pretty promptly crossed her mind. And as she shared to me, the thought sounded like, I've walked on fire. This is nothing. And she said she laughed to herself as she realized she was on her way to her run. It becomes it's a symbolic experience that becomes a neurological anchor. Hey, but listen, you don't have to walk on fire. If you just start doing this in your life, now it's not a symbolic experience, it's a literal experience, and it becomes an anchor. The very next time you choose to operate outside of your power, thinking that you don't have control or choice of your thoughts or your actions, not being willing to submit to the outcome, or not being willing to just keep taking the next step, the very next time you are outside of your power, realize it is a choice that we get to make. And the first time you let yourself go through with this, many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've done it before in life. You've already tasted the success. Now you know it works. It's no longer an experiment. Candidly, kindly, love us, mean it. Now it's a responsibility. Now it's on you to hold yourself accountable to taking the actions. Before we know, before we believe, okay, we need information. Good on you. You're listening. Possibly watching. This is the information. If you don't have belief that it works yet, experiment. For all of you that already know that this literally does work, now you have to allow yourself to go this route enough times until it becomes an unconscious neurological anchor. Until you do this without thinking about it. See, everything you do right now, your life as it sits, every problem you have, every solution you have, every win, every temporary defeat you have is a result of your actions. 90% of your actions and thoughts, you're unconscious to. But that didn't accidentally happen. You had your experiences prior in life, and then we became unconscious and we autopilot it, and then we said, that's just who I am. You could stay as you are, and if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll get what you always got. If you want something different, you have to do something different. We all know the things. Okay? But what I'm getting at is, right now, most of your behaviors and thoughts are unconscious. When you become conscious of them, make a choice in a different direction and do it enough times, you'll unconsciously do the new programming. You won't have to think about it. It'll now just be who you are. But you'll have to keep taking the next step. All right. Let me see what else I had here. Courage. One more thing before I close us out with a couple little nuggets. Courage. 2 pieces on courage. I'm speaking on courage because courage is what will help us overcome fear. And if you have no fear, I love you, mean it. You're a liar. Okay, we all got fear. Come on, man. We got to talk about the elephant in the room, and we're not going to conquer the elephant in the room, okay? Cool, so we need courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Those that are most afraid say, I'm not afraid. Because if I'm not afraid, then I don't have to do that courage thing. They're afraid of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. If you have no fear, then there is no courage. Courage is the ability to operate in the face of fear. Now, having courage is hard before you have courage. Ask me how I know. Oh, thank you so much for asking me, guys. I lived as a timid and meek human that was beat into submission. I've also been to combat 3 separate times. Now, my wife is like, maybe you take on too much risk too quickly. Okay, over time, courage is like a muscle. We build it stronger. But in the beginning, I remember not being able to create sound with my vocal cords trying to tell someone what was going on while I was being abused. You want to talk about the absence of courage? Some of you know what I'm talking about. You lived experiences like that. For the rest of you, just imagine trying to utter words and not being able to get them out of your body. That's fear. That's a lack of courage. Okay, so I've kind of been on 2 sides of this deal here. If you're early in courage, pretending to have courage requires the display of courage. You're modeling it, if you will. Now, I use the word pretending. Pick whatever word you want. But if you're afraid to death to say firewalk, and you're like, I am afraid of this, and someone says, hey, are you doing this? And you say, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm excited to overcome my fears. I'm excited to just get across this thing. Like, you are already acting with courage by what? Choice of actions controlling the controllables. Like, even though you don't feel courage yet, experiment with this. The more you do it, the more those of you that have exercised this muscle know, the more you do it, the more then you will actually feel. You'll be like, oh, watch me real quick. You will know and feel your courage inside. In the beginning, it is a choice, a decision to think and to act with courage. It's not that like, oh, I don't have it, so I can't do it. No. You do it, and that's how you discover you always had it. All right, let me give us a few nuggets to take away. So when we look at controlling our thoughts, making conscious choice and thoughts, I remember early in my journey, people sharing, think positive, be positive, control your thoughts, and not knowing exactly what that meant. So I would try to do something, and then like my experiment wouldn't pan out always great. And then I would like, I'd use it. That doesn't work. Now, I was called back to it over and over again, eventually found out, holy crap, this works. And made a life out of it. Okay. But in the beginning, it was like I want to believe you when you tell me this, be positive, control your thought. Like, I want to believe you. I want to buy, like, but also, you know, I have experiences where it didn't totally work. As I look back on those now, I realize what didn't work. I had no clue how to do this thing that people were telling me what to do. I mean, when I say I had no clue how, I mean, my clue of how was just pretend in your mind that it was all going to work out. And that just seemed really weird and like, you just want me to just pretend in my head? Well, that wasn't all. Part of it, but that wasn't all of it. And I didn't know how to. And well, listen, in the next 5 minutes, I'm not going to give us all of how to, but let me give you a few pieces that you can deductively go out and do with your mind when I say to think positive, to control your thoughts, to have conscious choice in each thought you have. Let me give you a couple things to pay attention for. Anytime you share anything that you don't want verbally, I don't want to be late. I don't want them to reject this offer. And it might not, the words might not say, I don't want. It might say, oh man, I hope they don't reject this offer, or they're just going to reject this offer. Anytime you're speaking about anything that you do not want, just ask yourself, real simple, right? Because this isn't happening, what is it that I do want to happen? I don't want to be late. I want to be on time. Now, it's great, but I'm not going to be on time. Look, I don't know. Maybe not. We're talking about thoughts and choice in thoughts. That's what we're talking about. You got to set responsibilities and boundaries to make sure you're on time. Right now, we're talking about thoughts. You get the choice to still think, I want to be on time. It's a choice. Just like every decision you made prior was a choice that led you to being in this very moment in which you feel pinched for time. So anytime you have thoughts, whether you speak them out loud or they stay in your head about anything that we don't want to happen, take place, do, receive, just simply ask yourself, because that's not going to happen, I'm glad that's not, what do I want instead? Man, I would love for them to be like ecstatic about this offer. Good. I want them to be like so excited. There's something in this offer I didn't realize that they are just like relentlessly going to be excited about. Greg, I don't know if they are. I don't know if they're going to reject the offer either. You were doing it either way. When we become conscious of it, just like the Mr. Beast challenges, those people won with gratitude, happy, smiles on their face. The people that kept this positive mindset at the end were like, I gotta keep going. Smiles on their face, happy. All right, next. Anytime you think to yourself that you have to or should do anything, I want you to consciously evaluate what it is and ask yourself, who said? Now listen, if the response is, I said, so for example, I have to go to the gym, or I should go to the gym tomorrow. And I think to myself, well, who said? And then the response is, I said. In that case, I want you to replace it with, I am going to the gym. If you said, is it not a decision, or are you playing with yourself? It's being candid, right? So anytime you think I have to or I should, who said? If I said, then I am. If someone else said, do I believe that to be so or not? If I believe it to be so, then I am. And if I do not believe it to be so, then I am not, which takes me back to just a second ago. If I am not doing this, then because I'm not doing this, what is it that I want to be doing? X. Perfect. I am X. Go through that algorithm real quick again. I have to, I should pops up in my mind. Who said? Tom said. Do I trust and believe that source of information to be true? No, I don't. Perfect. I am not doing X, Y, Z. All right, because I am not doing X, Y, Z, what am I doing? I am doing A, B, and C. Perfect. I am doing A, B, C. Instead of just saying control your thoughts, be positive, here's the algorithm. Here's the literal steps I'm giving you. Last one. Anytime you catch yourself saying, I've shared this before. My stepmother was a mean lady and had a lot of trauma. And how I choose to look at my situation. I have a lot of gratitude. That woman would, listen, I hope you guys can feel my words. I was not allowed to, and it did not take me long to completely remove it from my language due to the consequences. I was not allowed to say I can't. I can see her face, remember her voice, everything. She said can't means you won't. You will. That was at a very young age. It got programmed in. Now almost to a fault. My wife makes a joke. She's like, you'll just walk into a doctor's office and think you can do brain surgery on someone. And I laugh. Because like almost to a fault, I don't realize that I can't do some things. Anytime you catch yourself saying, I can't, pause, red flag. The question to ask yourself is, how could I? Now, the answer to that question then has, will I? Or will I do something else? So, for example, you want to launch your business. I can't launch my business. How could you launch your business? Well, I would need more money. How much money would you need? $10,000. How could you get $10,000? I'd have to this, and this. There's your plan for how to do the business. Now, are you or are you not? And if you are, then I am XYZ, and you have a literal plan and a path and a goal and everything just because you stop saying I can't. Or on the flip side, you realize this is what it would take to get there, and you realize, oh, it's not I can't do that. I'm not doing that. Takes me back to the first one I said. If I'm not doing that, because I'm choosing to not do that, what am I going to do? Perfect. I am doing this. I can't goes to how can I? Oh, I am not doing that. Because I'm not doing that, I am doing this. Perfect. I am doing this. When you think about these people in the Mr. Beast challenges, I can't get shelter. I can't figure this out. I can't sleep here. But the people that were making it through were saying, well, I can sleep for 2 hours at a time standing, then 2 hours sitting, then 2 hours laying since I have this. How can I? How can I get enough sleep to go through this? How is that possible? What does it look like? Will I do it? Yes, I want that prize. I'll do it. But the people that said they can't, the neurology shut down all creativity. You believe yourself. You're the voice that said it. It can't be done. Can't means you won't. Temporary defeat's going to be shortly ahead. As we go through life, everything we think about every single decision is a choice. Set boundaries. Be responsible. Be accountable. And remember the 3 things that are going to get you through absolutely anything in life. Control the controllables, your thoughts and actions. What you think and what you do at any moment, you get a choice upon, and that influences the outcome. Yet, decide if I'm going into this knowing that there is no guarantee. I am choosing to submit to this outcome. And then, because of these decisions, I am going to just keep taking the next step no matter what. No matter what, I see this all the way through. All right. I look forward to catching you guys on the next episode. Until then, keep your mind positive, keep your thoughts conscious, and realize your power in choice.
If this hit you deep, trust that.
Your pain has power, and your story isn't over.
Follow, share, and send this to someone who you think might benefit.
I'm Greg, and this was The Power in the Pain. Keep stepping into your power.